Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Become a channel member where you'll get access to all archived videos. Support independent media. Super chats enabled. Super thanks for the replay gang. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And if you'd like to feed me sandwiches, well, all methods apply. Sandwich gang in the building. Don't mess with my sandwich money. I am Dr. Thunder, and this is my collaboration with God Rules, with Tony from God Rules, and called Two Dads React. And we haven't been as consistent through the summer, but we're going to get back to being more consistent as the school year is about to be underway. My son did his first phase-in day yesterday, and then he's back into school, full time starting on Monday, and then of course I'm a college professor, so I'm back to teaching. I'm back in the grind actually next week, officially on duty on Monday. So our schedule will get more normalized, and as it gets more normalized, these shows will be more consistent. We're looking at Thursdays right now. We'll see how long that lasts. So be patient with us. But it's going to be an evening show around 10:30 during the school year. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being in the place to be. Today's show, we have a suite of topics, but our primary topic today, our sort of main event, is Tulsi Gabbard is draining the intelligence swamp. She's draining the intelligence swamp. I couldn't resist that. So she's cutting about 50%. I guess it's about $700 million, I guess, out of the budget, that's big money. We could use that money for, I could buy a lot of sandwiches with that. Anyhow, so that's going to be a sort of our main event. We'll get to that. There is, let's see here. Tony was just telling me about some big changes they're making at Cracker Barrel. So I'm sure we'll discuss that somewhat. There's these big UK protests that are like something out of the book 1984, Orwell's 1984. Let's see here. We've got these mutant deer and mutant rabbits, not rapids. That's pretty crazy. We've got this huge volcano in Italy. Oh my goodness, there's all kinds of stuff we have on the docket, and there is this supposed Christian feminist group. Of course, Christianity and feminism are not compatible, that you can't be a Christian and a feminist. you can't, and I don't think you can be a true feminist and be a Christian either, because Christianity is patriarchal. Okay, so anyhow, there's lots of issues there. But anyhow, this group called Collective Shout has been has kind of been raging havoc, especially on video games. But they're sort of spreading their wage of getting stuff canceled, discontinued, blocked. They are, they're trying to extend that to actually getting people locked up. So, well, there you go. How Christian of them that is. Well, so it actually sounds more like they're a feminist group. because if you're trying to get people canceled and trying to get them locked up for that doesn't seem very Christian. But well, anyhow, so that's what our show is going to be. We've got a lot of great stuff in store. Sit tight and got a great show. Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Drain that swamp, Tulsi. Anyhow, what's happening?
It's been a little while. So like 2 months.
June. Yeah, June.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
I looked at the last thumbnail. I was like, oh, this is like June 16th or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, the whole summer thing, man, throws you off for sure. Back in school now, all the kids. So
it's tough, and of course, you have more kids than I do. I just have the one, and just with the one, it's just the summer. Just like you pretty much just have to do what the kid wants. Pretty much, that's pretty much how it goes.
And the wife, should go on vacations and stuff, So
right. Yeah.
But actually, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I got some stuff I haven't talked about on my channels we can get into as well. Yeah, we got so many things we can talk about.
Sure. You want to weigh in first on the sort of main thing, and then we can just kind of backtrack and talk about the other things, and then later on we'll talk more about the Tulsi Gabbard business.
All right.
But what is your initial thought about this? What is your initial thought? You think this is a good thing? I mean, obviously saving money.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think it's about the money. I actually don't think, because they said it's 700 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to the government, that's like peanuts. I mean, to you and me, it's like an insane amount of money,
You know.
but to them, it's like nothing. So I think it actually has to be for some other reason. And I noticed some other story that kind of went along with it that showed that she was axing. If you show my screen, I can show this here.
Yep.
She was axing Biden era censorship office. So to me, it's like she's basically cutting out a lot of the bad people that were probably in the intelligence. It probably took a while to figure out who they were too. You know, a lot of people just assume day one, cut them all out. You're like, you don't even know who they are. You know what I mean? And of
Mm-hmm.
course, we're talking about intelligence people. So it's not like they're going to not be good at hiding things, right? So I think it's probably she's trying, like, I think that a couple of the people that are president appointed is doing a really good job. I think she might be one of them. I'm thinking RFK is doing a pretty good job too. But some of the other ones are pretty lacking. I don't like some of the other ones. They're kind of a disappointment. Some of them, like especially like Cash Patel, who was like he was like touted as this like super juggernaut back like 5 years ago. Like, oh, if he gets him in, he'll clean house. He hasn't done anything almost. It's like pretty pathetic actually. But
Well,
Gabbard, Tulsi's actually done more than him. So it's just kind of funny to watch, like the people that are, everyone just assume would do awesome. They don't really do much. And then the ones you didn't think were going to do anything do a lot.
right.
It's like weird, you know?
Now, I'm not going to really talk about this tonight. This is a little bit of a teaser, but in the morning, I have a show, Rolling Thunder, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. And Fridays is also an open panel, so I'll do my show and then I open the panel for people that want to come up and talk,
Ask
um,
questions.
and ask questions and all kinds of things. And
Oh, yeah.
now I have a Ann Coulter interview that she did recently, where she's kicking a lot of corruption dust
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
onto the Trump presidency and his cabinet and the whole thing,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting.
Who's she talking about? Cash or Pam or what? Or who?
Well, she's kind of kicking a lot of dust on everybody. Um, she makes some good points. I think she's making some good points. I'm not going to get really into it now, but I think to your point, there's been, I think, mixed reviews with some of
Oh, yeah.
the folks that he's had in there.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just really funny because Cash was supposed to be like this awesome, like dude, that would clean house. Like it was really ridiculous how they promoted him back in the old days. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was just this mysterious figure that would just rock and do awesome, and he did nothing. I mean,
Right.
so far, I mean, he's hardly done anything. I mean, actually, if you go look at Voidzilla or CoffeeZilla, he points out some of the stuff that he's literally lied about. But I kind of wonder though if there's a reason why, because this stuff's really convoluted. But I think with her, she seems to be a straight shooter. Tulsi, she's been doing things, and I feel like our president has been aligning with certain things that look kind of strange, like he's going to really do something big here. And I feel like he's kind of dodging the Epstein, but he's going the Russia gate really hard. And I feel like he's going to try to get some people put away. And if he gets one of them, I think it's going to be like a snowball effect, kind of like what you saw with like some of these talk shows all going down all at once and stuff. But I'm thinking that it's going to turn out pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And so you see him doing some stuff with DC and some of these cities, and I think he's actually going to perhaps like take control of them before he does this whole thing. That's my theory. But we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get into some other stuff I thought was really interesting about Steak and Shake. I don't know if you guys saw this. Steak and Shake said that they're never going to turn back on their values and change who they are, unlike what just happened to Cracker Barrel. I don't know. You didn't see it, all right?
Well, see, the thing is, look, um, I look what our so there's a Cracker Barrel that's like really close by, and my wife's favorite pancakes, probably my favorite pancakes, are Cracker Barrel pancakes because they have that little that like crispiness around the edge. Look.
No,
I'm
actually,
kind
it's
of
funny that you're saying it right now, and this guy says it in this interview. You should play this in a minute here. This is so hilarious. I sent it to you. It's
okay.
really funny, dude. It's like it's a black dude talking about it, but he's talking about it in a really weird manner. He's like, he's disappointed, but he's also saying, if it's not like, you just play it, you'll see what I'm saying. It's actually kind of, I think he's trying to be comedic when he says it.
Saw us on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Kev on stage. Is it Kev on stage? It looks like,
I don't know his name. It's really funny though.
Oh, maybe it's not. It looks like Kev on stage, but it's not. I guess it's somebody else. Let's see here. Let me head on over to my.
So they got rid of the cracker in the barrel. You heard about that? So this guy's like the cracker, and that's the barrel. They got rid of the cracker in the barrel, man.
That's terrible. Okay, let me let's see if I can make it big. Okay, that's bigger. That's a little better. Okay, here we go.
Saw us on the internet. Dude said he ate in a remodel.
It is Kev on stage. That is who it was. That is who it is. That guy. Okay, let's go.
Saw us on the internet. Dude said he ate in a remodeled Cracker Barrel and he hated it. And I want to join in on the hate. If the Cracker Barrel don't look like the Jim Crow South, I can't eat there. You got to have the racism aesthetic. You got to have the rocking chairs and the hint of segregation in the air. If I don't feel like I'm on the set of Sinners, then how do I know I'm in a Cracker Barrel? This is a gentrified Cracker Barrel. They done took all the character out of it, and I know the edges of the pancake ain't burnt. I gotta feel like somebody wants to say, "Good morning, boy," when I go in, with respect. And no respect at all. I feel like they want me to work there, but they don't want to pay me ever, and I've got to live there. That's Cracker Barrel's thing. If you take that away, what is it? A Denny's, IHOP, a place I don't want to be at.
Yeah, I said it looked like Denny's. Those tables look cheap even because they have like real wood tables.
Yeah,
this looks like cheap tables, cheap chairs. Like it just looks it just looks bad.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Now it's interesting because I grew up in the country, and so part of that aesthetic that he's sort of talking about doesn't really seem like it signifies anything in particular. It just seems like rustic and country like, and I mean, again, like the rocking chairs and all that kind of stuff, and the big checker pieces, the checkerboards, those to test your intelligence pyramid thing with the pegs.
Oh yeah, I like playing that. That was fun. Yeah,
and all that
they're
stuff.
They're putting rainbow rocking chairs now. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh no,
this is the lady that's the CEO, and she said that they talk to people and they like the changes. I don't know who the hell she's talking to, but yeah, Nancy.
Oh, right there, she's talking to her, the one that's on the phone right there. That's who she's talking to.
Stock options are sold. I don't have it open anymore, but she was saying like, yeah, we talked to people, they all love it. I'm like, who the hell is she talking to? Like people in a gated community or something, like a bunch of liberal women, or what the heck is she? I just thought it was really funny because like it's so out of touch with reality. Like, how can you think that was a good idea? Especially considering all the other stuff going on. You saw the NFL with the male dancing cheerleaders. You saw that too, or? Oh yeah, they got they're not doing like the old days with the cheerleaders, holding the women up or whatever. Now they're dancing like the women.
Oh, come on. I don't
Yes, yeah. Yes. He didn't want to
and
know.
By the way, Lewis Sharp, I don't think you understood the joke. Kev on stage was not actually saying that the rocking chairs were racist.
He's just joking.
He was joking.
But it is like this woman here.
He was talking about a particular aesthetic that could be consistent with. He was not claiming that it was racist. It's a joke. It's satire. He's not. But you're taking it too seriously.
That woman here is thinking maybe that she might be thinking, well, we might look racist, and we're also anti-gay, so we got to change the whole look.
Yeah.
Got to put the rainbow rocking chairs for a little while, and then we got to get rid of the rocking chairs because it's just like Aunt Jemima and all the other, like the what's that, Land O'Lakes, where they had the Indian. They took off the Indian because they took the Indian off the land and they took the cracker out of the barrel. It's just funny, dude. They removed the cracker in the barrel. I always wonder what that meant. Is it like a barrel full of crackers, or what does that mean, anyways, dude? Cracker
I don't
barrel.
know what it means.
Yeah, like it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it means. I think it. Honestly, I think it may be. Let me do a quick. Let me do this quick shirt. I mean, you can show us whatever you want to show us, but
it's like the Jaguar commercial, Actually, I don't know if Jaguar might have did worse than Cracker Barrel. It's kind of hard to. It's a close tie right there.
Let's see here. Does Cracker? Okay.
I mean, I got a million stories.
So here's. I mean, this actually is the case. So cracker was once a slang term for whip, and the phrase Cracker Barrel, as in the name of the Cracker Barrel restaurant chain, refers to a barrel that was used to hold whips for sale in country stores. Okay, so it
holds whip
for whips. Now,
whips?
Yeah, so
Really?
whips is, let's see here. So whip, it's a whip cracker.
Oh, whip crack. Okay, I was thinking whip, yeah. Like whip. Like what the hell, dude?
No, that's
okay,
worse. Right, that sounds worse.
That literally is racist.
Wait a minute.
Whip crackers. Okay, that's a little bit better.
All right.
I'm gonna have to take back what I was saying here now for a second. I don't know.
All right.
Oh, did you see this? Did you? There's this one video. Let me show you. Oh, they got Rainbow Batman too at Lego. Rainbow Batman. This is funny, man.
I'm going to tell you let me tell you what's so nefarious. What's so nefarious and evil about this repurposing the rainbow? Because the rainbow is supposed to be that was supposed to be a sign of God's promise in His covenant with His people. Exactly. So they've turned it into this, which actually is, it's like the opposite of what that is, right? Exactly. Because even when you talk to folks about, the LGBT thing, see, LGBT is it's sort of contrary to Christian, in that Christians say that I'm a sinner in need of a savior. We say that we're lost, that we are no good alone. The amazing grace, how sweet the sound, that saved a wretch like me. We're aware of our feelings and how we're bad. LGBT seems to be saying, I'm beautiful just the way I am. I'm great just how I am, right? And regardless as to if you believe that you're born that way or not, that's a different sort of topic, or what your orientation is. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is, whatever it is that you are, you're saying that that's beautiful and that's great and that's acceptable, and you need to accept me just the way that I am, without me changing anything, without me improving, without me being a better person, anything. You just need to accept me how I am. And that just, I don't know. Just go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, they repurposed it on purpose. I mean, they obviously took it over. It's obviously the devil, if you think about it. I mean, straight up, you take something good and you turn it into something the exact opposite on purpose. I mean, just like the date 9, of course, 11, supposedly that was when Jesus was born, by the way. A lot of people don't even know that. 3 BC. Mm-hmm. And look what happened on that day. So they do stuff like that all the time. But we actually have a lot of other stuff we want to talk about. I sent you a link. I don't know what you think about it. people fighting on a Carnival cruise over chicken fingers or something like that. It's just
man, man, we haven't even got into some of the other topics yet. Hold up here.
Oh no, it's okay, man. We don't have to.
No. Let's play it. We're gonna play it. I'm just saying.
We're gonna get into
stuff.
Also Yellowstone and the stupid.
What?
Oh yeah. It's over chicken tenders or something.
Hold up here. Over chicken. It's over their saucy. It's over their saucy nugs. Hey, those are my saucy nugs. Okay, anyhow, here you go. That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part when he says it's over chicken tenders when he comes in the screen. Like it's like it's shown that he's like it's over chicken tenders. That's my favorite part.
Isn't it free? Like on a cruise, isn't it like free? Or maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been on a cruise yet, but I've had it. I was going to go numerous times, but I never ended up going. But
look, I want to go on a cruise too. But did you see I know you saw what is that new Carnival cruise, the new Emperor Queen or whatever, and they had to turn back because the weather was so bad, and then they had to refund all the money back to the people. They have footage online. There's these huge. It's like a wall of water that like splashes down on the. It's on the deck of the. It's like
dang, bro.
It's ridiculous. They had to turn around, take people back where they came from, and then refund everybody because it was such a horrific, probably people were having heart attacks and stuff.
I mean, isn't the food free?
Harrowing.
Isn't a lot of the food free on these cruises? I thought they were free.
Yeah, I think that they have different packages. I can't speak.
It depends on
too authoritatively, but it seems to me that they'll probably either have like an a la carte thing where you can just pay as you go, or it's like all included. So like when you pay, then you don't have to do anything, and that's why I want to go. I want to just like, okay, you got the money, now I can just like lay back and everything just gets taken care of. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. There's also this weird thing going on with animals. I don't know if you've seen some of these stories. Let's see here. I got fungus encrusted zombie spiders are now being found in America and freaking out homeowners. And there's like a bunch of weird things in this area. What's that?
Here, let me do this because I have.
You got something on that?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff.
Dude. It's got So what's really weird about it is there's all these animals walking around like deer with just all these funguses growing on them, and rabbits and spiders. And this is literally the theme of the movie, the TV show Last of Us, where a fungus takes over your brain and you become a zombie. That's literally the theme of the TV show. And it's so weird. But yeah, you got something? The show?
Yeah, so I'll show you a few of those videos. Here
I'm going to be doing a video on my channel over this too soon.
All right, so this is a rabbit.
The hell, man. Oh my goodness.
All right. Here I've got a couple more of these kinds of things. Yeah, this is
you got deer. There's even deer.
Yeah, there's another one with a rabbit. Here, I'll show you this.
Breaking news, a shocking video shows wild rabbits with strange horn-like or tentacle-like growths on their heads, causing public panic and heated online discussions in Colorado. Photos and videos have sparked associations with zombie rabbits and alien creatures, with some comparing the virus to the zombie virus from the movie Train to Busan. Infected rabbits exhibit aggressive behavior resembling zombies, and the virus is believed to spread first among animals before potentially infecting humans. However, animal experts have provided provided a more realistic explanation for the phenomenon. This abnormal appearance is caused by the rabbit papillomavirus SPV, which infects only rabbits. The virus triggers wart-like tumors, typically growing on the face, head, and neck. In some cases, these dark horn-like growths may become so large that they impair the animal's vision or ability to eat. Although it may appear alarming, this is not a new or emerging threat, local wildlife management authorities stated. The virus has been known since the 1930s and does not transmit to humans, dogs, or cats. Officials urge residents not to approach or handle infected animals. Owners of domestic rabbits should minimize contact between their pets and wild rabbits and take measures to prevent fleas and ticks. In most wild cases, these lumps eventually subside, though some domestic rabbits may develop more severe complications. Drop your comments.
Okay. Here I've got one that's got, here's a deer. It's got some kind of stuff going on here.
Zombie deer. These mutated deer really look like they could be off the set of The Last of Us or Z Nation. Honestly, quite terrifying to look at, and I won't hold it against you if you can't stare at it for too long, because neither could I. Now, when you actually look up zombie deer, you'll see it refers to deer that are infected with chronic wasting disease, also known as CWD, which is a fatal prime disease. Now, this disease causes neurological damage, leading to symptoms like drooling, stumbling, emaciation, and a blank stare, which gives the infected animals a zombie-like appearance.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck, dude? They say this has been around for a long time, but there's like squirrels, rabbits, and deer getting it. And there's also some weird.
This is about rabbits again, but she's got some more pictures in case you weren't grossed out enough before.
Well, it looks like something out of a horror movie, but this is a real wild rabbit. Across the country, some rabbits are developing these strange horn-like growths on their heads and their bodies. Yeah, this disturbing condition is caused by the cottontail rabbit papillomavirus. That's a viral infection spread by common bugs like fleas or mosquitoes. While it's not usually a death sentence, these tumors can...
You know, papillomavirus, that's like, you know, human papillomavirus, right? HPV, like, so I guess there's a rabbit papillomavirus. That's kind of strange.
Becomes so large that they keep the rabbit from eating.
Because, you know, human papillomavirus is a precursor to breast cancer.
Is it?
Yeah, to other health issues. It's a sexually transmitted virus too. Just keep going.
Or even seeing. Wildlife officials are cautioning the public to avoid touching these rabbits, as there is currently no cure for the virus.
Now that is messed up. We know that
rabbit. Somebody put in the chat rabbit herpes.
Science did that. Yes, because they genetically modified everything. There's a guy online that be cloning animals and releasing them back into the woods and saying that's
what I'm wondering.
Naturally came, but it's unnatural. These people clone everything, man, and they infect it with things like parasites, and that's why he looks like that, because that's where the cancer comes from, is parasites and worms, and people too. Once you cleanse and detox, it goes away. You don't need none of that nonsense they selling you. But it's the same for the animal. They just either radiating them, genetically modifying them, or doing something to them that's making a DNA structure not natural. But for more powerful videos like this, follow, like, and share.
Okay, so that's interesting. Go ahead.
If you think about like Bill, Gates, he's been doing a bunch of weird stuff with food, and he owns apparently a ton of farms as well. And like he's trying to genetically modify things, and like he made this like where the fruit, it's like got thicker like skin, and it like lasts longer, and it's like rubbery. He's got some new butter as well that he created that's not even from milk or anything. It's just like something made out of carbon and something else. He's doing a bunch of weird stuff like that. And I'm actually wondering, because he's funding a project for genetically modified mosquitoes. That was back 2 years ago. And I'm just wondering if some of this weird stuff that he's been doing is now like getting out into like nature. You know what I mean? This is what I'm kind of wondering, because he's doing a bunch of weird stuff in this realm. Him and others.
I just got done watching Alien.
I kind of agree with that
Alien Romulus, and I think that came out in 22 or 23. And so what happens in there is, so they determine that, okay, humans need to make whatever the next leap in evolution. So they started monkeying around with alien, the alien, and splicing it with
DNA.
animals and all kinds of stuff, creating different weird mutations. And they did it with humans. And so so a woman in this, it's an action sequence, and the aliens get loose, of course, and they start going wild. You know how it is. And so she's trying to get loose, and she herself is injured, and she's like, okay, if I inject myself with this, then I'll get stronger, and like this. And she didn't really get stronger, but she was pregnant, and so the baby turns into this weird mutant human thing. Mutant alien plus human.
I saw it. Whatever. I remember now.
Yeah. So it just reminds me of like monkeying. There's always like this desire to monkey around, like you think you can improve stuff. Like science thinks it can improve certain things. Like, yeah, maybe don't do that. Maybe stop messing around with stuff like that. That seems to be kind of risky.
Well, it reminds me of, remember, they told us, like, I think about 7 years ago, you will own nothing and, of course, be happy. Now we're starting to see some of that with all this inflation and money printing. People are talking about barely able to afford their bills. Now we're seeing that come to pass. But then they've been talking lately about, like, genetically modifying, well, we will be, a new species. I've seen it in a new show, this new alien show that came out. It's a new series. And they're talking about, like, humans uploading themselves to robot AI brains or something, just all this weird stuff. And they're going to try this weird stuff. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But the thing is, though, if they keep going, if they still have control, 10, 20 years from now, that might be some of the crazy stuff we see, which I hope is not the case.
All right, let's play this. Hopefully this is the last one. I think this is the last one of these gross ones.
That deer looks nasty.
A mutant deer covered in fleshy bubbles with flesh, has been spotted after reports about those Frankenstein rabbits, which stressed me the hell out. It doesn't affect humans. So why is it in the news? That's disgusting. Imagine just opening your phone. You have trypophobia and you say, ugh! Deers can't pass on to other species, so The Last of Us is not going to happen in real life. There's something called deer warts. It's a strain of fibroma, which is mainly found in white-tailed deer and mule deer. The lumps don't cause deers any pain, but they can hinder the ability to walk, eat, or see. Now, for those who have trypophobia, yeah, that stresses the fuck out, bitch. Deers generally overcome the disease on their own in a couple of months, as the growths, listen to this, slowly dry up and fall off. We keep seeing these weird animal sightings, and scientists say it's because of climate change and the fossil fuels that we're freaking burning. It's just causing mosquitoes to thrive. Squirrels, deer, rabbits, the hell?
Yeah, Bill Gates releases mosquitoes, but his climate change is causing the zombie virus, of course. Right. Shut up, man. They always blame climate change like it's this boogeyman. Well, it's climate change. That's why the world's the way it is now. No, it isn't. It's because you guys keep screwing with everything. That's why the world's the way it
is. What you got next, man? What you got for us? I've got a bunch of stuff.
Genetically modified mosquitoes of Bill Gates. I'm just thinking to myself, because I remember the beginning of the show, The Last of Us, it literally showed like some animals with like fungus on them, and like then it transferred to humans. But then we thought fungus couldn't survive in heated environments, but this could, and then everybody turns into zombies. So maybe Bill Gates is playing around with the fungus. I don't know. Whatever.
All right. Okay. So let's just jump into this.
He got bored with computer viruses, so now he's making real ones. So.
All right, let's jump right into the UK business. Okay, let's see what this is about.
Are you protesting?
No.
Are you here to pray for the lives of unborn children?
As I've mentioned to one of your colleagues before, I think that's a little bit of a leading question. No, I'm not, actually, today.
Can your actions be carried out elsewhere?
I'm not doing any actions. I'm just simply thinking silently in my head.
Why have you chosen this location to stand?
This is an abortion centre. I'm praying for those who've been hurt by abortion.
Uh-oh, you said the pray. You said the pray word.
Yes. I said no. I'm praying for those who've been hurt by abortion.
Hurt by abortion?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So are you aware there's a public slave protection order in place here?
Yes, I don't know if you know, but I have actually been arrested twice. I've gone to court and been acquitted for allegedly my silent prayers. I've actually received an email from the police telling me I'm allowed to be in this area. I don't know if you're familiar with that situation at all.
This is exclusion area?
Yes, that's right. That's why I was arrested previously. So yes, I'm very much aware there's a PSPO in place.
Okay.
Damn, dude.
Are you aware that you're breaching the public order protection order in place?
I'm not breaching it, no.
Will you move from here to outside of the exclusion zone?
I don't see any reason why I would need to do that for the reasons I've just explained to you.
So if not, why are you not willing to move outside the exclusion zone?
Because of what I've just said, because I don't think I need to move outside the exclusion zone. I've been to court over this.
Oh, this is perfect.
So what we're going to do, we're going to issue a fixed penalty notice now.
So what am I being issued a fixed penalty notice for?
Because I believe, and my colleague believes, that you're here to protest.
I've just told you I'm not protesting. I'm simply silently praying.
So this is why people are now finally starting to believe in God in the UK. Apparently the younger ones, I sent you a link on this. This is insane. 18 to 24-year-olds, only, I think before it was only like 15% believed in God, 18 to 24-year-olds. And now, like 2 years later, it's like 40% or something. Because of all this insanity going on in the UK, they're like, well, there must be a devil because of all this insane stuff. There must be a God, you know? This is kind of my theory of what's happening, because they see all this crazy stuff going on around them. And I mean, they're telling you can't pray or something in front of a building. Does that sound like a good job for police to be doing, and then letting in all these illegals and stuff? It's so dumb. It's like insane. But yeah, there's actually a new poll about 18 to 24-year-olds. They're now a massive jump in those believing in God in the UK. And I think it really is the insanity. But go ahead.
I'll play your video right after this one. This is another
go ahead.
one talking about the same similar thing here. Okay, it's playing music, and I don't want to get a copyright. So it says George Orwell's 1984 is the UK's 2025. Imagine if the suffragettes didn't protest and shout home truths. Just because it's law doesn't mean it's right. Do not be silenced. Now, of course, the reference is kind of a bogus reference, but the point is taken.
Well, think about this. Remember we were saying before, like they'll say something and then 5-10 years later you'll see it. Mm-hmm. Remember that movie V for Vendetta? It was in the UK.
Right.
It was literally in the UK, and it was about 1984, essentially. It was literally about this. And now you're seeing it actually play out. And you don't see it happening in America because apparently the wrong person got in, you know. This is what I'm saying. This is why we need to get all these people at the top. They're doing all this corruption out of the way, you know, arrested. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to be seeing soon here with what Tulsi's doing and some of the stuff we're seeing happening right now in real time, where they're talking about bringing in a number of big people. If they can get rid of some of these people, I think once a couple go down, all the rats will start telling on each other, and a lot of them will go down. This is my theory.
1 second here. I'm going over.
What is this one? Oh, here we go. That's the wrong one.
Do this for you here.
37% of 18 to 24-year-olds now say they believe in a God, compared with just 16% in August 2021. So you can see this was reported in the Telegraph. It was a YouGov poll, and the same poll showed that atheism among that same demographic has dropped sharply from 49% in 2021 to 32% today. So there's a substantial increase in religiosity among Gen Z, among young people. A study by the Bible Society, which was published in April of this year, found that last year around 12% of adults attended church at least once a month, which is up from 8% in 2018. So it's still a relatively small number of people, but it's a substantial increase in terms of percentage. And at the tip of the spear is young men, with over a fifth of 18 to 24-year-old men attending church at least once a month, which is a huge increase from the 4% in that demographic in 2018. And women in the same group are sort of following a similar trend of increasing church attendance, with the research identifying Roman Catholic and Pentecostal churches as being the most popular among these groups. And I find that...
Now, this is pretty interesting. There is this sort of phenomena that amongst church attenders, it seems that the growth, if there's any growth, now there's actually a lot of growth right now in the high church, so Orthodox, Roman Catholic, high Anglican in particular. There's a lot of growth there, especially Orthodox, but there's also growth in Pentecostal. So you have almost like the sort of polar opposites, the stuff in the middle, the kind of evangelical, and even stuff like mainline denominations and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is shrinking like crazy, but where you're seeing a bit of a ballooning is you're seeing it in the higher church, and then you're also seeing it in kind of like charismatic kind of communities, which I think is pretty interesting. Keep going.
Quite interesting, because that's, I mean, I'm a Catholic, and we're going to get into that. And it is because of I think for a long time, the church, in the face of like the new atheists who were arguing people out of faith, the church tried to hug people back into faith by being a little bit, trying to modernize and having a kind of happy, clappy, guitar strumming type of Christianity that I think a lot of people, certainly my age, and I would imagine your age as well, associate Christian faith with. And so when we encounter a kind of traditional Latin Roman Catholic mass, it's something quite different to that. It's far more intense. It's far more profound, deep. It's got all the bells and whistles, if you want, and you don't feel pandered to, and you don't feel insulted by how dumbed down it is. And it's actually that I think a lot of young people are crying out for. They are crying out for authenticity and depth of experience, and not to be, insulted by somebody thinking that what they need is a kind of happy, clappy, very superficial form of faith.
Kumbaya form of faith, yeah.
Exactly. So there are now over 2 million more people attending church in Britain than there were 6 years ago. So this is, because the part of this story is the demographic element of it, because obviously we've had an influx of people from other cultures with other faiths. The census data shows that Britain's Muslim population has increased in the past decade from 2.7 million in 2011 up to 3.9 million in 2021. So part of this growth in religiosity will certainly be driven by immigration and driven by migrant-descended, families and this sort of thing. But in absolute numbers...
And the Muslims can have up to 5 wives, the guys, and so they could reproduce a lot faster than you monogamous.
I find this all to be very interesting, because it's like structure. These young guys are seeing all this chaos around them, and they're looking for structure, and that's what they're seeing in the Catholic or Orthodox Church is structure. Yep. And a lot of these Protestant churches have lost their way. A lot of them don't realize they don't have a really strong foundation. They have this foundation back in the Reformation, but the Reformation also was kind of like separating from structure. And so that's why it's getting weak in that respect, because if you look at some of the founders in the Protestantism, they were like, essentially, it's kind of like, they were anti-Catholic, you know what I mean? They're protesting, right? So it's not like it's particularly when they reject the early fathers, the early writings and certain traditions, that's where the issue came in with some of the problems. And so they also rejected the Apocrypha and some of the structures that we saw throughout church history, and just kind of erased it. And when they erased that foundation, they erased their own foundation, and they erased their own structure. And it's kind of got the same sin. Like you can see with the Orthodox Catholic Church, they split, And then in the Catholic Church, you see more splits because the Protestant broke off, and then the Protestant split amongst themselves. And it's a sin of separation, a sin of division, which is one of the works of the flesh, is division. And so it's like the same sin being passed down, right? Because I feel like the Catholics were the ones who probably did the wrong back in like 1054 against, with the whole thing with Constantinople sacking it or whatever. Or no, that was after that.
So you have
it was the Filioque. It was the Filioque. They tried to add to the Nicene Creed and stuff.
Well, you have that, but that was a pretty small thing. And there was some language barrier stuff, I think, that that exacerbated whatever issues were there. But the primary thing was the Roman pontiff, the Bishop of Rome, who happened to preside over the largest jurisdiction, was called the first among equals,
preeminent,
the first among equals, and the Romans began to interpret that as meaning, hey, I've got the most say, and if I say it, then it goes. But that's never what it was supposed to be. It was equal say, but first among equals because it was the largest jurisdiction. So that's all that was about.
Right. That's a big deal too. I think that's what really caused it. And remember what Jesus
think about
said.
it real quick. And if you think about it too, any sort of I'm not going to call it an adjustment, but anything that if any part of the church wanted to do a particular thing that was not clearly laid out, very crystal clear as just a continuation of tradition, stuff that has been happening, then you'd have to have a council. You'd have to have a ecumenical council. And so what started happening is the Roman Church started making all of these changes outside of an ecumenical council context. And you can trace all of these innovations in doctrine in the Roman Catholic Church that you don't see in the Orthodox Church.
So what I was trying to say about Jesus said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," and the devil knows this. And so the devil clearly is the one who created all these divisions. And it's interesting because, like you said, it's so funny, so ironic about the whole thing with the Protestant Orthodox Church is that I think you can actually find a much more rich diversity of thought on certain topics in the early church and Orthodox history than you do even in the Protestant church. And it's not, I'm talking about on just different ways of thinking about stuff like the afterlife and everything. And the Protestants, they just straight up took the Catholic doctrines. A lot of people don't realize this. They straight up took a lot of Catholic doctrines. Like they basically followed St. Augustine. And St. Augustine was not the only one. There's like tons of early fathers. St. Augustine was just from the Latin School of Theology. And honestly, I think he was the worst one. Everyone else loves him for some reason, but I actually thought he was the worst one. And when I look at like Orthodox teaching, different theologians in the Orthodox Church, or Theolophus of Antioch, or you can just talk about early church, Ante-Nicene, I thought they have a lot of interesting stuff they were talking about, and a lot of interesting things you'll never hear about in church today. And they'll tell you you're a heretic if you even think these things. Yet they thought these things in the early church, and they were like the disciples of the disciples. They were like literally one or two removed from the disciples.
Yeah. So something I think is interesting is, so there's definitely codified doctrine. There's right teaching. But we also know that there's a long list of things. Yeah, Orthodox, right. But we also know that there's a long list of things that are not explicit. It's not like
like you got core doctrine, right? Like the Nicene Creed before the Filioque, I guess, or whatever you want to say. It's very basic, and then everything outside that you can discuss, right? Basically.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's prescription and there is detail. But there are different schools of thought, and the different schools of thought are fine so long as you're not trying to change the nature of Jesus Christ, or you're not addressing things that were solidly addressed in the first 7 councils.
The ecumenical councils, right?
Yeah,
And but they come up with these basic things, these basic creeds that basically cover everything. And as long as you're not violating those creeds, you're like, okay. And what's so funny about it is a lot of Protestant churches, they actually reject some of these creeds, and they don't even know that they're rejecting. I'm not saying all of them do, some don't. It just depends on which one you go to. Some reject all of them, some reject some of them, some reject a few of them. And I mean, if you look at like Martin Luther, I've talked about him on my channel. He said some really insane stuff. I pulled up some of the things he said. Like he said, Jesus was like, he would trust his wife over Jesus. Like he like said really crazy stuff.
This dude wanted to throw out the book of Revelation and a number of other New Testament books, by the way.
He reminds me of Jerome. And then Jerome is another guy who's exalted, which is not a good guy. He wanted to throw out the Apocrypha. I mean, there's a lot of Jerome is ridiculous. If you go read his writings, I think that guy was he named the devil Lucifer in the Latin Vulgate because there was a competitor bishop he hated named Bishop Lucifer, and he wanted to take his competitor and make him the devil's name. That's literally where the word Lucifer came from. Was he hated a bishop and he named the devil after the bishop, his enemy. I mean, that's the kind of crazy stuff that I mean. So some of these guys, it's so funny. Martin Luther's so exalted. You go look at his writings, and he said some crazy stuff like, Jesus sinned with the woman at the water, the woman at the well. I mean, he just said crazy stuff.
Yeah, I was making a point on one of my shows earlier this week about Luther. I can't remember what that point was now, but it's cool, and I don't want to get too in the weeds about this. But it is interesting that the growth seems to be in the high church and also in sort of charismatic, in Pentecostal kind of churches. That's pretty interesting.
Well, it's interesting because also if you look at the early church, they had the miraculous. If you go look at medieval church time, like King Arthur and Merlin was a Christian. Not everyone thinks he was just this weird sorcerer. You got these people in the early church, like between 500 and 1500 AD, they were doing crazy miracles that were in the church.
I know you've heard about the charismatic Catholic movement.
But it's way more ridiculous than you even imagine. Like Merlin the magician was a Christian. People don't even know that. There's another guy, I can't remember his name. He's from about 1500 AD. He had this insane, he would do these insane magic stuff. So the thing is like everyone just ignores the fact that the magicians went into Jesus's birth and saw him in the manger. They're magicians. That's why they're called magi. So there's even these stories in the medieval times of like Christians going out of their body and fighting witches in the spirit realm and stuff. There's like all these crazy stories, and no one knows any of these stories because they've all been suppressed.
Yeah. If you look at a lot of the stories,
charismatic interest is from. That's what I'm saying. That charismatic interest is there for a reason. It's not because it's bad.
Yeah. If you look at the first of all, Orthodox don't throw out tongues, don't throw out people being healed. Healed. Matter of fact, that's one of the sacraments is the Holy Unction. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. And then all of the stories of these saints where they were so devout and so holy that they would literally be glowing and levitating as they'd be meditating, walking around the town and stuff like this. So yeah, all that stuff is there in the
literally Star Wars got some of its ideas from these guys, like the electricity shooting out of their hands. There's actually a saint that did that in the medieval times in Ireland. So there's like actually these crazy stories. Even if you go like at the some of the apocryphal texts, like Acts of Thomas and all these people, they have crazy stories there of miracles that Peter did, Paul did, Thomas did. No one knows about any of these because no one hears about it. Nobody reads these books. No one hears about them. And I'm actually putting some of these books on my website. I'm already starting to do it. Some of these books that no one reads that were like stories from the early church, and no one knows any of these stories.
Epistle of Barnabas is
that's another
very, very referenced. I mean, you have to be somewhat careful because some of these is like a Gospel of Mary, like this. Some of these books are actually bogus books that some of these compete. Yeah, that some of these other.
Epistle of Barnabas is good though. Epistle
of Barnabas is good. Matter of fact, that was on it. So by the way, in this Council of Nicaea 325 AD, this is where the New Testament canon of Scripture was decided upon. They just had a very simple principle: when in doubt, throw it out. If there was any issues at all, if that anyone had with any text, they just threw it out to make sure that the church was in agreement about what their canon was going to be. And then,
but they're not saying it's not inspired. They're just saying that we don't know the veracity of it. It could be inspired, but they're leaving it out. It's not like because you have to say that because some Protestants like either it's the Bible or it's of the devil is kind of the mindset.
Right.
You know,
but Epistle of Barnabas, I think there's actually a reference to the Epistle of Barnabas in the New Testament. I'm trying to think of it like it's
there's a lot of crazy references. Like even the Sibylline oracles are referenced in Revelation, and no one even knows it. I figured it out just looking at them. Like they're saying the same thing. It predicted Constantine. The Sibylline oracles predicted Constantine, and like a bunch of people in our history, nobody knows about these books. Like these books were read by the early church, like Epistle of Barnabas, and all these were read by the early church. No one knows what they are. No one has ever even heard of them.
Now here's something else. So this was a point that I was making in a show I did earlier this week in the morning, and that was that the early church, they really didn't want to or feel like it was necessary to have a New Testament canon of Scripture. The only reason that they did it was because of these bogus groups forging books, creating these books and claiming that they have now, see, look, we have the truth now, we have the real stuff. So they
Gnostics.
The Gnostics. So they said, okay, we need to put an end to that. We need to put a stop to this. So let's codify this thing so that there's no question as to what it was. But so that was really the only reason. And the other thing to note is, so you're talking about when did the church begin, in like 50 or something like that, 80, 55 or something like this, some 50 number, 80. So you're talking about 300 years, because it wasn't officially ratified until 397 AD. So you're talking about 253. What is that? 300? Is it 350 years?
Quite a few years, yeah.
You're talking about like almost 350 years with no New Testament canon of Scripture, and they didn't have any problem. That was not a problem. It didn't mess with anything. They felt like they already had their canon of Scripture, which was the Septuagint. They had their canon of Scripture, you know.
Yeah, they had that. But I mean, they also had the scrolls that they would read, or epistles they would read in their
and
church.
Look, they were using the Gospels. They were using all of these documents and the letters of Paul. They were doing all of that. But I'm saying they just were like, what's the point of us? We don't need to say that we're doing this. Look, we're the church. This is what we're doing. Why do we need to codify it like that?
Well, because the devil started going around saying, "Oh no, I'm the church," and they had all these
right. Yeah.
What a shocker, right?
Okay, so here let's do this. We're switching. Now this is this woman here, in her TikTok handle is ethical hose. Okay, I'm not sure what that is.
Like military intelligence. All right, here we
go. Right. So, but anyhow, she's reporting on this group called Collective Shout, and
cool.
a lot of the things that they've gotten canceled or pushed back. Now check it out.
So I'm pretty sure everyone is aware by now that Collective Shout is the group behind the Steam itch.io video game ban. I thought it'd be fun to do a little walkthrough of some of their other previous victories. In 2015, they got Tyler, the Creator, banned from touring Australia because his lyrics were too misogynistic. In 2016, they bullied an aquatic centre to stop playing music videos in their cafe because they were too sexual. In 2014, they tried to get Snoop Dogg banned from Australia unsuccessfully. In 2020, they had a KFC chicken advert investigated for grooming. They lobbied against the Australian Advertising Standards Board to say that this advert for KFC chicken was sexual grooming. And weirdly, the Standards Board didn't agree, and they thought the advert was fine. They also launched a campaign to desexualize scrubs, stating that hospitals should employ less sexualized staff uniforms. In 2024, they forced the National Breast Cancer Foundation to end their charity partnership with the lingerie brand Honey Birdette, because God forbid a lingerie brand wants to help a charity. They sell bras. It's a breast cancer charity. What's the problem?
Dude.
Also in 2024, they had this Revolution lip gloss ad pulled for being pornographic. It's a picture of lips. It's lips. How do you sell lip gloss without lips? What the fuck? Also in 2024, they had an H&M school advert cancelled for sexualizing children. It was a picture of two little girls in a school uniform. And what I really want to know is, from everyone still going around calling them a feminist group, which of these campaigns was feminist? Which of these campaigns protected a woman or a child in real life? Because from my perspective, fucking none of them.
Oh, it's worse than that, dude. Okay, check it out. They did it in tandem with the Online Safety Act. The Online Safety Act whole intent was to stop you from criticizing migrants. And what do migrants do when they get to your country sometimes? There's these big gangs that go around and do things, of course, to women. And so they actually are literally working with exactly what they claim they're trying to fight against, which is insane. That's crazy, dude. That first one was insane. Like lips in KFC ad, like what?
Yeah, it's
Dude,
it's
that's
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah, let's see
Those
what this
women
is.
are nuts. Those women are bro. Those women are nuts. Straight up nuts.
Have
Okay,
you heard
go
about
ahead.
the most recent shakeup in Washington? The nation's top intelligence office.
Okay. Let me wait for that one. Let me wait for that one.
I can't believe how crazy they are. I didn't even know they were that crazy. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, man, I had a lot more of these gross pictures.
They claim to be
gross
Christian
pictures
too,
and
which is
stuff.
really irritating because they make Christians look really bad doing that stuff.
Okay, wait a minute.
The scrubs. How are scrubs suggestive, dude? What the hell? They're like fully covered, man.
Yeah,
like, dude.
I know.
Dude,
I know, man.
Those women are insane. It reminds me of Dr. Kellogg. It's like crazy like that. He was very anti-sex in the old days.
We're going to go ahead and get into our main event. And our main event is this Tulsi Gabbard. And she's draining the swamp of the intelligence agency.
I hope we're seeing that. Does this lady got some good stuff or what? Guess we'll see.
Yeah. All right, let's check it out.
Have you heard about the most recent shakeup in Washington? The nation's top intelligence office is shrinking, cutting $700 million a year and hundreds of jobs. Let's talk about it. This is ODNI Director Tulsi Gabbard. She says the office has become inefficient and bloated and needs to refocus on its core mission, which she says is giving the president the truth. This move follows other Trump administration rollbacks, like shutting down an FBI task force that tracked foreign election meddling, which has been a big topic of conversation the past few years. Critics say this could weaken U.S. defenses against election interference and disinformation. But what do you think? Do you think slashing the U.S. intel budget makes America safer or more vulnerable? Click the drop down to find a link to the full story.
Tulsi's also come out and literally proven that they screwed up the last election. Not the one that just happened, but before that. She put out some evidence of it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, okay, they need to look into interference. Give me a break, dude. They're like freaking doing it themselves. I mean, it's good that she's doing this, weeding out all this corruption.
Here we go.
Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, announced a sweeping restructuring on Wednesday under an initiative called ODNI 2.0. The plan called for cutting nearly half of the agency's workforce and consolidating several intelligence centers, with officials projecting annual savings of more than $700 million. The reductions, scheduled to take effect September 23rd, targeted vacant roles, redundant functions, and staff on detail to other agencies. Units being dissolved included the Foreign Malign Influence Center, the Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center, and the National Counterproliferation and Biosecurity Center. Their responsibilities will be transferred to other offices within ODNI or the National Intelligence Council. Officials described the overhaul as the largest reform since the office was created after the September 11th attacks. Supporters said the changes would streamline operations, while critics warned of potential risks to national security and loss of expertise. For continued updates on this and other major stories, please follow, and thank you for listening.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what is all going on here, because he's taken over DC, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's just about crime, and her cutting all these jobs. It doesn't make sense. It's just about saving money or bloated, because we have this other story showing that she cut out ones that were censoring conservatives. So it's clearly she's probably clearing out really bad sections of it.
Yep. All right. Now this is prior to this. This is but this is the kind of stuff that she is, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that she's talking about. This is what she's interested in. This is some of the kinds of things she's interested in rooting out. Here we go.
It's been striking that during all these declassifications, all these Russia hoax material that you've put out, pretty incontrovertible, that the very media that was involved in, getting leaks and propagating the Russia hoax is strangely silent now.
Exactly.
Are you surprised?
Not so strangely silent. I'm not surprised for a few reasons, primary of which many of these mainstream media outlets were the ones who James Brennan and his people and John Brennan and his people and James Clapper and his people leaked to almost immediately after that Obama directed National Security Council meeting.
Before the intelligence community assessment had been made.
Weeks before that assessment was completed, and actually even before it had really begun being drafted. And so, and in many cases, these mainstream media outlets printed exactly what they were told to print without any kind of vetting or okay, well, was this always the assessment? Or can you give us any evidence that this is true? None of it, because it didn't exist. And then
they had
it
to
wasn't
print it up
just a
beforehand.
one-off thing. These are mainstream media outlets that went on to repeat and build up and really advance and propagate this lie that was created by President Obama and his administration, and went on to win awards for it.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this also is they would have documents. Sometimes they would accidentally release it early, and there was actually numerous examples. I covered a couple of them back over the last few years. They would actually release a news story early accidentally before it was even done, before anything was even finished, and they would accidentally release it early. And so what I'm wondering is, if some of these organizations were getting money through USAID, were getting all their sort of marching orders, because we now are seeing a number of these companies go out of business. MSNBC now just had to rebrand, and they're having issues. You had Stephen Colbert. He was losing $40 million a year. They would spend $100 million a year. He would make $60 million. They would lose $40 million. And I'm wondering if they were getting some money from somewhere to offset that loss. And that's why they have to cancel the show now, because there's a number of shows being canceled. So I'm wondering if they were getting some of this money pumped in through tax dollars to actually basically tell us what to think. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. That's
Is this the super volcano stuff?
Yeah, so this is we're switching to super volcano. I just have 2 videos on this.
There's a volcano that's a super volcano in Italy that they're talking could go. It's starting to steam, and there's some interesting stories with regards to that as well.
Here we go.
We've been covering every quake, every gas surge, and every shift at Campi Flegrei for months. Now mainstream outlets are finally starting to take notice. Over 3,000 earthquakes have struck in 6 months. May's magnitude 4.4 was the strongest in 4 decades. Carbon dioxide emissions have surged to 5,000 tons per day. Magma is just a few miles below the surface. The ground in Pozzuoli has risen nearly 5 feet. The crust is showing signs of structural failure. 4 million people live within the risk zone. Evacuation plans exist, but execution under pressure remains uncertain. If an eruption similar to the one 40,000 years ago occurred today, the consequences would extend far beyond Italy, disrupting agriculture, aviation, and infrastructure across Europe and beyond. Campi Flegrei is active, and conditions are changing fast.
There's a number of prophecies that there's going to be some super volcano going off very soon here. And some of the people predicting this are ones that have gotten things correct in the past about predicting our president. And one guy named Kim Clement, he predicted, back in 2009, he predicted our president would be Donald Trump and that a Kennedy would join him, back way before he even ran. And that guy also predicted there would be volcanoes and other strange things going on around the time that the elite will fall. And he says they will fall in the fall. Now, the fall is September to November. This year, it could be this year. It looks like it could very well be this year based on how things are going, because they have a number of indictments set up. And they're also, our president set up a bunch of prisons. I don't know if you know about this. You got the Alligator, Alcatraz. There's actually like 4 or 5 prisons he took over to federalize. He's federalizing also the police in D.C. He's talking about doing it in New York and Chicago. I'm thinking he's trying to set everything up for doing arrests. It sounds crazy because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe it'll ever happen. It's never going to happen. We haven't seen anything happen in a million years. But of course, obviously, things take time, particularly if evil has been reigning for a long time. People get very jaded and don't believe any of this stuff anymore. But I actually think something's going to happen because of these prophets. Not because, if it was just me and I wasn't listening to these prophets, I would be like jaded too. I'd be like, oh, whatever, nothing's going to happen, But I personally think something's going to happen because of all these prophets that have had predictions come true in the past. I know you tend to be a little bit jaded about this stuff. You're like,
it's not jaded. I'm not jaded. I'm just a realist.
Jesus has to come back, right?
Huh?
You're thinking Jesus is going to come back first or something?
No, I just think that, well, first of all, I don't call people prophets. That's something that they would have to earn that posthumously.
I think if they get things right, I think if they get several things right, like there's a guy on YouTube, he's had 100 things come true. Troy Black. I don't know if you ever watched him.
Yeah,
he just had one come true in hours.
Yeah, I still I defer to the process that the church has used, that the early church used, that the church used throughout time, that Jews used before the time of Christianity, when they waited for generations to start calling people, prophets and stuff like that.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but also remember the people also went against the prophets in the nation too. So that's an issue also. But you're talking about like earning the name or whatever, earning the title, I guess.
Well, it's not even about that. I guess for the most part,
it's like saints being canonized or whatever.
Well, it's the process of canonizing saints, and it's the process of, referring to certain people as being prophets. We like when we talk about in the Bible the minor prophets, like this, when we talk about these things in that context, that's the way. That's the process that was used there is the process that I feel comfortable with. I'm particularly sensitive, in particular, about people calling themselves a prophet.
Oh yeah, particularly if people change their names too, like they call themselves some weird name, like Jacob or John Morningstar or some weird name. Why did you change your name, dude? Or they have like big titles, like
yeah. I just don't, that just, I don't know. It just comes across as being like really vain And
It can be. It
are
can
you
be.
supposed to be? Is that what's supposed to be happening there, or is the?
Yeah, if you call yourself it sounds kind of weird. It's like it's kind of proud sounding, like, oh, I'm a prophet or something. It's
it is, and I don't see that as a part of Christian history. I don't see that as part of the biblical pattern. The early church fathers, they didn't want you to call them prophets or holy men or any like that. They would tell you to quit calling them that. No, I'm a dog.
what you're talking about, kind of like some say they follow Paul, some say they follow Apollos. You're supposed to follow Christ, not us, kind of thing. Like you're supposed to be humble and say, he that exalts himself shall be humbled. He that humbles himself shall be exalted. I understand what you're saying. I mean, but there is a pattern of people predicting things. You can see it in Acts. Don't go to this area because this will happen. Or
I don't doubt. Look, I don't doubt that that there's a possibility of people hearing stuff and that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying miracles don't exist. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying I have an issue with people referring to themselves as a prophet, and frankly, especially if I've not, I just what reason do I have to think this person's a prophet? Okay, they were right about a few things. That's cool. Does that make them a prophet? I don't know if that makes them a prophet. Who gets to decide? I don't think
Troy. I don't think Troy calls himself a prophet, but I've seen what you're saying. I've seen people say they'll be announced as prophet, blah blah blah. I think that's kind of like, then you're like wondering about the guy, right?
Yeah.
Is he really what he says he is? Yeah, I know.
That's all I'm saying. Now, with respect to the way things are going, I'm paying attention to stuff. There are signs of certain things. I have a sense of awareness. But I also think that it's been a long time that people have believed that Jesus is coming back now. As a matter of fact, if you read the Gospels, you read Apostle Paul in particular, you'll know that he believed that Jesus was going to return in his lifetime.
Well, whoa. He might have, actually, because a lot of people just assume Jesus has come back one time.
Well, he's talking about no. I'm talking about the second coming. I'm talking about the this is going to set everything back to the way that it's supposed to be. The ultimate that part. That's what I'm talking about.
What I'm saying is, in 66 AD, there were chariots of fire in the clouds, and there's actually, Jesus literally said, "You will see me with." I think he said angels of fire in one passage, and they literally had 4 different historians account for this. Tacitus, Flavius Josephus, there's actually a number of them, all say this happened. This is well documented. And it was they surrounded Jerusalem in the temple. Apparently, angels left the temple as well. They actually heard voices, and spiritual beings left the temple. And that was the end of God being in the temple. And this was 66 AD. Now, this is one story that almost no Christians know about. Another story is talking about the beginning of the Middle Ages, which is the Pope Sixtus III, and then after him was Pope Leo I. And Pope Sixtus III was friends with St. Augustine, by the way. And St. Augustine, I don't think he's a good guy. A lot of people think he was. But I think what happened was the Antichrist time frame was maybe right in the beginning of the Middle Ages at the fall of the Roman Empire. That would have been 6000 AM on the first AM calendar. A lot of people don't know about this either. So a lot of people assume that Jesus never came back, but I'm saying like he came back in the clouds and surrounded Jerusalem. And I'm thinking he might have also came back at the fall of Rome and set up a 1,000-year kingdom in what we call the Middle Ages. And then now we're waiting for the final time, which is the Gog-Magog invasion, which is basically almost set up already. You got Russia with all the countries surrounding it. And then they come towards Jerusalem and also perhaps America, because it says the people that dwell carelessly in the isles, which could refer to England or America, who protects Israel. I don't know. So we might be in the final, like the remote generation book of Enoch's talking about the final before the end, when the judge comes and everything's said and done, final Jesus coming back. Everyone always says
and
second
that's what I'm
coming.
talking
It
about.
might be like the fifth coming at this point, or third, or whatever. I don't know.
Well, second coming as meaning okay, because in a manner of speaking, so
Well, Jesus came
I
back
guess you
and
could
showed
say
himself to the disciples. He showed
right,
himself numerous times.
right. So you could say his first
That's a
coming
coming.
was his. So you could say his first coming was as a baby, as an infant, and then you could
Right.
say his second coming was when he rose from the dead, and
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then ascended to the right. But
Heaven.
he was here, but he was seen by his disciples, stuff like that, right?
Physically-
so you could say
physically
that's
eating
the
food.
second. You could say it's the
Physically
third coming.
eating food, yeah.
So when I say second coming, I mean I'm talking about the judgment day. What's
Yeah,
referred to
that
as
hasn't
Judgment
happened
Day.
yet. Yeah, you're
Right.
talking about judgment.
So that's
Seat?
what
That'll be sometime in the future, but
yeah. So, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
Apostle Paul, it's obvious that he believed that Judgment Day was coming, perhaps in his own lifetime, and so that was part
maybe.
of the reason. It was part of the
He might have
reason
thought
why. It was part of the reason why he told people, "Look, it would be better that you're like I am." He was a celibate. He was married prior. His Jewish wife divorced him because he went all Jesus freak on her.
Is that really what happened? I didn't know he had a divorced wife.
Yeah, he was married and then he got divorced. This is according to tradition. And then but he was a celibate, right?
Okay.
And he's telling people, look, you should be celibate like me because you could really be about the business of preaching the gospel, because we don't have very much time. We need to preach the whole earth, and we have like no time because this is supposed to happen. Because he felt like it wasn't within his
You
lifetime.
might be right. But what I'm saying is, Jesus said, "Behold, I come quickly," and everyone thinks he hasn't come for 2,000 years. I think he came in the clouds, surrounded Jerusalem. That's behold, I came quickly. I came 30 years after I'm dead, or it'd be 66 AD, however long that is after he resurrected. That's pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like that's in the time. And remember, he said to the other disciples that John might be around when I come back, and John would have been alive in 66 AD. So he would have been alive when Jesus came back. But of course, it wasn't the final second coming, as people are not the judgment seat. Just like he showed himself to the disciples, he could have came in the clouds and surrounded Jerusalem and removed the angels from the temple or whatever. And then he could have came back also in 440 or 470 AD at the fall of Rome and set up his kingdom there too. I don't know. That was the millennial kingdom, I believe, the Middle Ages.
So
So
it's interesting. I mean, as far as like word usage in like expression, like what do you mean when you say come back? What is that? What does that actually mean? And you're talking about God, right? So God can pretty much do what he wants to do, and he doesn't have to necessarily every jot and tittle detail every single movement that he's going to make. Obviously,
he doesn't have to fit Protestant theology either. I mean, when he came, look at the Pharisees. They didn't like what he taught, right? Because they had all their thing. They've got it all figured out. We know what everything is. We know all the theology. And Jesus comes back and says, you're all wrong. And then, just imagine if you came back today, you imagine how many pastors would not like him because he's not teaching correctly. That's what I'm saying. Well, what do you think? I mean, isn't that true? I mean, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Who did he say beware? Beware of the scribes and Pharisees. Beware of the scribes and Pharisees. Scribes write the scriptures. Pharisees teach it. Beware of the Christian teachers. Beware of the ones that write books. That's basically what he's saying, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean,
Kinda.
something about the Pharisees. I'll say this, and then I'll play this last video. Something about the Pharisees I think people miss. See, the problem with the Pharisees, one of the issues, a primary issue, was they had a certain pedigree, and so it made it more likely that they'd have a certain capability than other people, not because they were better than other people, but because they were set up to have an advantage. But then they would judge other people based on something that, you know, was almost something that was more native to them, you know. And Jesus was not saying that knowledge is a problem or being learned, because the Pharisees knew a lot of stuff. They were super knowledgeable. He was saying be better than them, in that, yes, have the knowledge, but then also have this thing. Don't be a hypocrite in this particular way. Don't do this. He wasn't telling them not to be knowledgeable, because what I hear people do, what I see some people do with that is, you get in a discussion and you're going into detail and you're delineating this and you're talking about church history, and maybe you use a couple $100 words, hermeneutics and blah blah blah, or whatever it is like this. So then what they'll do is they'll say, you know, they'll treat you like you're being a Pharisee or something, because you're knowledgeable about what it is that you're talking about, and it's not about that. It's not about that part of it. It's supposed to be about, you know, where's the faith in that? You know, they'll turn into that. It turns into that, and it's like, well, I have faith. I just, you know, I just want to understand. I just want to understand how the stuff works, and history is important and like that. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to take away from, you know, the sort of our communion with God and our.
That's a dialectic there you're talking about. You're talking about head knowledge versus spirit, you know, and that's kind of what the devil set up. He sort of split the two in the church, because I feel like the devil got into the church. The Pharisees were essentially being guided, you know, by the devil. That's why he is saying beware of them, because the devil can be in the church. Everyone just assumes he's not in the church. So the devil split it like, it's either experience or knowledge, one of the two, either one. You can only have knowledge. You can only have spirit. You can't have both, because obviously both is the way you're supposed to be. The devil don't want you to have both of them, spirit and knowledge. He wants you to be one of the two. Either be, you know, kumbaya, the spiritual guy, or you can be the guy that's the head knowledge guy, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people they tend to be sort of intimidated by people that have a lot of head knowledge, and so that's the way that they try to counteract that. It should be both. Say, well, then that means that since you have a lot of head knowledge, that means you must be lacking in this other way. Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, you know, that might be the case with somebody, but it's not necessarily the case. It could just be the person just likes, you know, that's the way that they interface. Look, the way that I developed my faith is through my intellect, and that's just who I am as a person. Other people are wired different ways, but that's the way. Stuff has to make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to me, sorry, I can't rock with you.
I'm just
telling you, that's what it is.
If it doesn't make sense to me, I know there's something not right. I have to like get it to all make sense.
Exactly. I'm the same way. But that doesn't take away from being deep of soul and spirit.
Yeah,
it doesn't take away from that at all. I might argue that it enhances that, because you're more clear on how you're functioning, like, because you're thinking this stuff through and not just doing any old thing because it feels good.
You're going to do it more correctly, potentially, obviously, because you're trying to do it with what Scripture says. You know, you're not just, you know, doing some weird dance ritual in the church or something. You're like trying to like square it with Scripture. Like, whoa, is this actually scriptural? Are you supposed to be just speaking tongues out and yelling and stuff in the church? Or are you supposed to like do it a little different than that, right? So, yeah, there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, where's your interpreter? Okay, anyhow, here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where's your interpreter? Days, for fuck's sake. So the super volcano in Italy, Campi Flegrei, I think I'm pronouncing that correct. It has been hit with the strongest earthquakes in 40 years, and it has the potential to send us back to the Ice Age. And scientists do believe that it is showing signs it could be gearing up to blow. I fucking hope so at this rate. And there has been thousands of tremors and earthquakes around the volcano this year alone. And researchers are saying that parts of the volcano are at breaking point. And Following hundreds of small tremors last year, the Italian government put in plans and measures for mass evacuations. Of course, if the volcano is about to blow. Now, this volcano in Italy is the closest active volcano to London. However, there hasn't been a true super eruption globally for about 26,000 years, which makes us slightly overdue for one. So will we see a mass eruption in our lifetime? Who knows? At this rate, I hope we fucking do. Let me know what you think below, for fuck's sake.
Sorry for the language, guys. Sorry for the language.
There was a massive volcano that went off in 537 or 536 AD. It covered the sky with soot or volcanic ash for about half a year or a year, and the crops all died. So I don't know if that was a super volcano, but it was definitely a very, very, very large one that covered the entire sky with darkness. So I don't know if it's been 26,000 years. Maybe it's been a little less than that. I don't know. So.
Yeah, so as I was I started saying with Apostle Paul, I'm saying that Christians have believed that the second coming was going to be, it's going to be Tuesday. We've believed it's going to be like right now, and look, the sign, this is pointing to it. Since the very beginning, and the more that I am aware that has been have become aware that's been a sensibility, a sense of things, even by Apostle Paul himself, the less sort of rattled or like, I don't want to say impressed. That's not what I mean to say, but the less I am concerned about when this event is going to happen. What I try to do, and I think this is what the Bible is telling us to do,
supposed to live right.
Is you just live right. Just try to live right. Just be holy as your Father in heaven is holy. Be
not
perfect.
Not holier than now, but actually holy. Like, try to live humble. Yeah, don't try to be like an arrogant holy guy or something. No, but I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, like back in the 80s, they would see, some signs of things coming near the end, because you could see it in Revelation. You could see it even more now, but it's like kind of drawn out, right? Like one day is 1,000 years to God. So it doesn't mean it's literally going to be tomorrow or next year. It could be 10 years. It could be 100 years. Some people are like, no way could it be 100 years. It could be only 20 years or 10 years or 5 years or something. It could be very soon. But even my researcher, he has this weird theory that it's going to be hundreds of years. I don't think it's going to be hundreds of years, but he thinks that. So, I don't know. It could be very soon. The way things are, it's really lined up pretty well for it. It could be any moment as far as I'm concerned. But
well, if you think about it, if we were going to know for sure when it was, then that potentially would create a situation where we could basically live like the devil all the way up until a few hours before the prediction, and then get real holy, and real sincere right then. And
I think God might look through.
Rapture, Lord, take me, save me from these tribulations.
You can't scam God. You can't scam God. I mean, faith is fidelity. It's faithfulness. It's not like, hey, when's God coming back? All right, because he says he's going to come when you don't expect it. Exactly. That's the entire point. Exactly.
Right. It's like it's like a parent, like, kind of spying on their kid to see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, even when they don't think you're watching them. Like, I have a camera. I've got a camera in my son's room.
Okay, you're like Ice Cube in War of the Worlds. So Ice Cube in War of the Worlds. He's like the guy doing all the surveillance on what's going on in the world, and he's like checking in on his kids all the time. Zooming in with cameras and stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, that's what's up. All right. Well, I think that's. Ooh. Well, I think that's going to be our show for today. Thanks so much for being here. Please like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Tony's channel, and why don't you say something about this offer that's going on right now?
A giveaway. Giving away $500 Amazon gift cards. Go check out I forgot to put the link in the last video. You check it out on God Rules. I think the link's there. Or you can go to my main links. I have like a link page, it's in there too. But $500 Amazon gift cards, a $500 laptop to celebrate my 500,000 subs on God Rules. So,
and one of the ways that you can expand your possibilities of winning is you can subscribe to my channel.
Oh yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, inside. You have to do it inside the giveaway though.
Inside the giveaway. That's right.
Yeah,
you gotta do it inside the giveaway.
Sure.
But subscribe to my channel. So anyhow,
you can subscribe now and then go to the giveaway. Either way will work. But yeah, all
right. So anyhow, thanks for being here, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, see you guys.